gonna play it for y'all. We're gonna get a live reaction on this video. Now, this video is more so about men, all right? But it's giving it from a woman's perspective. Let me get this up on my, my iPad. My iPad. Where it's at? Bam.
Who's more unprotected, black men or black women? Talk to the people.
All right, sisters gonna hate me, but a black man is more unprotected.
Why?
And the reason I say that is because the black man is not only attacked in society, but he can be attacked in his own home, especially by a broken woman, a woman who doesn't know how to uplift their man. But I can't say that it's all around what I've experienced. If I have experienced a broken woman taking down a broken man, which we get the non-shit men in the end, we don't want to continue that cycle. And unfortunately, there's no therapy for a man to say, hey, I'm abused at home. There's no outlet for a man to say, hey, I'm being mentally abused or physically abused by my woman. It's considered weak. As soon as you say, I need a hand, I need helping, something, it's weak. So, sorry, sisters, the black man is definitely the most unprotected, but my black man, he's definitely highly protected. I got his back, front, sideways, every which way.
All right, now she said a lot.
Oh, Instagram.
All right, so
she got a man.
The question was posed, and I think we may have said it. Who's more unprotected, men or women? Now, this young lady says that men, and she goes on to talk about how we aren't unprotected. Now, that's her one perspective. We're not saying that's Bible, but I'm going to definitely second that motion. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get y'all reaction to what she said. We're going to go into Nolita because this was a woman saying that the men or black men are unprotected, and she gave a lot of different variables. She actually said a whole lot in that 50-second excerpt. So we're going to just break it down and get some feedback. So, Nolita, what you think? Who's more unprotected?
And she also said a whole lot that applies to both sides.
She did.
So there's ownership that she's placing on both.
She's accountable, ladies.
Yes, very accountable. I do agree with her that black men, you guys are not protected in the majority of the spaces that you have to enter into. And that it is very unfortunate that when you come into supposedly safe spaces with your family, especially the women that you choose, that is also another boundary and a breach of your manhood. So, but even outside of the household, you're not protected because you have sometimes less opportunities for education, for a career, just for your safety when you're in particular places, because y'all are two tall black men. So I'm sure that when people just look at y'all, they feel fearful for whatever reason. But I do understand what she's saying when it comes to there are women who tear men down, because I'll tell you a quick story. I had an ex in college, and in college I took on very poor communication habits that I never saw in my household, but it came from the type of women that I chose as my friends. The type of women that I was around at certain points in college, they talked to their men crazy, and that began to reflect in my relationship. And while he was doing things that were irritable to me, I still had a responsibility as a black woman to not pour salt on the wound that the world creates in him. And talk to him crazy. So years later, I was in California on business, and we had already kind of hashed it out or whatever over the years, and we were just, cool. He was like, I want to take you out to dinner. And probably a few months before, I had written a blog on my website about, when a woman needs to apologize. Okay. And I talked about how
Wait, that happens?
Yes, absolutely.
This shit is crazy.
Like, there are times where we don't know how to articulate that we're wrong, because we do get a pass, and society does say, oh, she a woman, so it's okay. Yeah. No, I shouldn't be cursing at you. I shouldn't degrade you as a man. And when he read it, he started like literally crying. He was like, I didn't know that I needed this apology from you. And I was like, I'm going to tell you, because I don't want you to just think that I wrote a blog to make it salacious.
Right.
I was like, I'm looking you in your face and I'm apologizing, because that was wrong, especially in your formative years of being a grown man on your own in the world. I should have handled myself better. And it's like a lot more women should take accountability in having that moment and being, self-aware to not tear black men down, because y'all deserve better.
Wow.
I agree.
Yeah.
September 2001, September 11th, the Twin Towers fell. September 14th, 2023, a woman is accountable.
Get on my nerves.
Mark your calendars.
It's a holiday, nigga.
Shit.
Pull out the barbecue grill.
Yeah.
Because you know, so I think sometimes we laugh about it amongst ourselves as women. We'll talk about, you know, a nigga get his heart broken in the 7th grade and then he never the same. But they have these experiences throughout life where it can take. The words of a woman are sharp. That is where our strength is.
Yeah.
So y'all can punch us and knock us out, but we can completely kill your confidence in how you approach your relationships and interactions with women moving forward. Because when y'all feel pain, it registers so deeply with y'all that you will never create a space for a woman to ever get close enough to feel like she has that upper hand on you to talk to you like that. So it's like we do have to, in general, just from both sides, we have to care for each other a lot more and understand that we should protect one another. It's a dual effort.
So I'm gonna ask you this real quick. So is a man considered weak? Because she said this in the video. So is a man considered weak for expressing himself?
No, but that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about boys and girls. Why are boys always told as young boys that if they have an experience, cry, don't cry, suck it up,
to suppress it?
Yeah, like,
you know
you're a human being. You're living in this world. You're going to have emotions, and it is okay. And the reason why that young man reacted the way he did is because somebody told him to suck it up time and time again, and now he hasn't had experience with learning how to regulate. Regulating his emotions.
So
I think that's a big problem with niggas these days. With men these days, emotionally imbalanced.
Yes.
I've seen such toxic masculinity. That it almost comes off gay. You understand? It almost comes off sensitive.
Yeah.
And so you're so masculine that now you're showing female traits. You're extremely insecure. You're overly sensitive about certain things. You're ready to argue and fight and cry. Now, but not an emotional cry, as in, hey, I'm feeling a way about you, or this is a happy time in my life. No, a cry as in, bitch, I'll kill you.
But you know who they really be mad at?
Themselves.
They mama.
Oh.
Because they mama used to punch them in the chest. They mama used to be like, suck it up, be a man. First of all, that's a 4-year-old. Like, what are you saying? So it's like they don't even have the emotional awareness to unpack the fact you ain't even mad at nobody my age. You mad at your mama. Call her.
I think that's how gentle parenting came into place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's just it's that the misplacement. The misplacement of where a man's emotions should be. And that's the key part of having men in the lives of their children. Because a man can walk in and say, hey, no, this ain't how a man do this. A man ain't gotta punch his son in the stomach. He can talk to him and say, hey, no, this ain't how we move. Men don't move like this. You gonna do this, you gonna do that because that's your mama. That's your woman, you gonna protect her. And the third, this is how you move. We not arguing with women. We not fighting women. This is how, and I'm leading by example. You see me. You see how I'm moving.
So you talking about the significance of the father's role when raising a child. I want you to continue to elaborate because I'm a father. I want to hear you talk about that. So a boy seeing his father. Now I'm gonna use my example because everybody has an example that could be, whether it's bad or good. It's an example. And it's how you look at example and how you look at being accountable for your own personal self is how you're gonna live your life and eventually end up in a certain space. My example, I had no mother, right? Just a grandma. And I had a father, but he was more like a roommate than a father, right? So, alcohol abuse, this, that, and the third, yada, yada, yada. My example of a man by everybody in my circle and my immediate family growing up, circle plus the niggas on the streets that I grew up with and all that other shit, were horrible. But those were, in most situations, people say, oh, well, he doesn't have a good father figure or a good mentor or whatever the case may be. But these were the perfect examples of what not to be.
That part.
So my goal is when I chose I'm not going to follow. They say, why you don't drink? Why you don't smoke? It never seemed cool to me. I watched the people around me. I watched my father. I watched the homies. I watched whoever drink, smoke, and look stupid.
Yeah. And what did that yield for them?
And it didn't yield nothing for them. So it's one of those things. It's also up to the person, the child, as a human being, to say, hey, this is my example. This is the best example I got of what not to do. Yeah. Because sometimes it's an example of what to do, and sometimes your kid get an example of what not to do. And hopefully he still ends up in this the path of what he's supposed to be doing as a human being in his life to survive. Yeah. But when it comes down to an active father, and somebody saying, because I still feel like, yo, I wish I had an active father to say,
sure.
Hey, you need to go to basketball practice. You need to make straight A's in school.
Yeah.
You need to, like, all of that was on me.
Yeah.
Like if I decided to make straight, and the thing is, I knew I could make straight A's. Yeah. I just felt like there was no need to.
I think it's and I guess for kids just in general, it's something about every child that wants that praise and recognition from their parents.
Yeah.
Definitely young boys, like
positive reinforcement.
There you go. Yes. And I think not enough credit is given to guys like Wallace and I, who had these bad examples or these things going around us, and we still rose above all of that. We had every excuse around us to commit crime, to do drugs, to abuse alcohol, to do all these things. But you say, you know what? I see how fucked up that turned out for people that's close to me, or I see that the people who are indulging in or overindulging in these things have turned out. They in jail or they on drugs, and they just don't have the quality of life that I see fit for myself. Right. So I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's the protecting the black man at the very smallest level. You know what I'm saying? And we was able to, and I'm talking about Wallace now because we both had the same type of sentiments, how we had things around us that we probably necessarily, didn't agree with, but when we got older, we was like, you know what? Nah, that ain't gonna be my story.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to prison.
Independent thinkers.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And not a lot of people understand that. They just expect us to just be a man.
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So me having young sons, it's important that I'm in their life.
Yes.
A woman, and there's no knock on a woman, but take it how you want it, a woman can't raise a man. That's just how it go. Now, obviously, we have strong, independent women who raise their kids, or we talk about mothers to boys. My mama can raise me.
Women can raise males.
There you go.
But they can't nurture and cultivate man.
There are just certain levels. There's just certain things that the mother can teach.
Yeah.
As a woman.
Yeah.
That she just can't do like a father can do.
Yeah.
Like Wallace was saying, you can do that with your mama, but you can't do this with your dad.
Yeah.
It just you learn that at a very young age.
Yeah. I
could do this around a male and a female, not whether it's a man, mother or father. Period. Just the differences, and you learn the differences at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important and super important that we get back to that, like positive reinforcement and positive role models, and women now who have young sons and who try to push the fathers out of their lives because they don't get along.
And it's a difference between who that man was to you and what type of father he can be to his children.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
That's not even two different chapters.
Because I think a lot of people feel like mothers, because you and them didn't work out, that they can't be a good father to them kids.
That's weird.
I'm sorry?
That's weird.
Yeah. Tell me why it's weird. You a woman, I want to hear your perspective. Because that's super weird to me. Right. You know what I'm saying?
I think, for one, it makes me want to ask the woman, so is the child just a byproduct of the fact that you had sex and you just never really want to be a parent? Because to really understand parenting, from what I have observed in my siblings, because I don't have children, and also just how I was parented, when you come to accept that these children are blessings and you understand all of the different components it takes to build and create a ecosystem for a child to have the best foundation, it is insanely selfish to pull something away from that child, because that means that you still haven't accepted the concept that it's no longer about you.
Exactly.
Like, it's no longer about you. From the time that you pissed on that stick and you figured it out as you was pregnant.
Yeah.
It ain't your show no more.
The game just changed.
Some women feel like keeping the dad out the picture is doing what's best for them.
If this father is going to be not a good example, if the father is going to deter that child, yes, I understand that, because in that sense, that context, you protect the child. But if he is a father and a man who will show up and he will provide, protect, and do all the things that he's supposed to, again, who that man was to you does not dictate the father that he will be to your children.
Big fact.
Period.
Big fact.
I think a lot of women need to hear that one. I agree. I'm a dad, so
Right.
I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment because we live in a generation where co-parenting came about. Because in the 90s, there wasn't no co-parenting. Like, your day just wasn't around. You was lucky if you was, some of us had that privilege, and it is a privilege. I feel like that's a privilege to have your parents around at a young age, whether y'all all live in the same household or that dynamic was I go with mama's house, I go to daddy's house.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't no knock on children who had that upbringing. It just ain't my story.
That's a plus.
Yeah, because a lot of women now who have those issues didn't grow up with their dad either, and now you repeating that same thing with your children. And look how you turned out.
Or if they're not repeating the same thing, they're over exaggerating what they wanted their life to be as a child.
Yeah.
On their child.
Yeah.
My baby gonna have all the Jordans. They got all the Jordans and the bad grades too.
Yeah.
And the bad grades and no present father in their life. But I think also sometimes they push the father away because it is a reminder that they ignored red flags, that they got themselves and locked into a forever unionship, because that's what it is.
Right.
And it's a reminder of bad choices. And they don't want to sit with that. It's like every time you come pick that baby up, you got to really think about that time at Chili's where you said, I know this nigga ain't nothing. But you still let him hit it raw.
Not that sizzling skillet.
At 2 for 20, and here we are.
That's two for the door.
Here we are.
Egg rolls,
And that actually segues me right into our next topic.
Okay.
And thank y'all for that. Because sometimes people need to hear the truth coming from a different source. Women making wise decisions when it comes to their friend groups are very important.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the women first. You know what I'm saying? I want to get into that in this segment when it comes to friend groups, because we want to talk about protecting women and men, but from the same sex. So your homegirl.
Yeah.
Like, you see your homegirl in a situation and you want to offer her some type of shoulder lean on. We ain't going to call it advice, because sometimes advice low-key be persuasion and hating. We're going to get into that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But choose your friend group. And I know Wallace and Lee, y'all have strong friend groups.
Yeah.
From what I see on social media.
Yeah.
And this is my assumption. Y'all correct me when I'm wrong. And I envy that in a good way.
Right.
But we want to talk about, I want to hear from you guys about how do you go about assembling a friend group of accountability? Wallace, you want to go about that?
Oh, that's easy. Number one thing is be accountable for the space that you want to be in. So when your friends at 20 is not going to be the same friends at 30. They're not going to be the same friends at 35.
Let them grow.
Some people will fall off completely.
Yeah.
Some people will go from, man, that's my family, to that's just my relative.
Yeah.
And it ain't that you beefing with them. It ain't that you fighting with them. It's that you deal with them a certain way because y'all lifestyles just don't necessarily fit.
Yeah.
So y'all might not be in all the pictures together no more. But every once in a while you get a call and say, hey man, let's go play pool, because what we do is play pool.
Yeah.
We don't have real conversations though.
Yeah.
We don't get into that deep.
Yeah.
We don't involve each other in each other's family life. But as my homie that I've been knowing for 20 years, we play pool.
We shoot the breeze.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your space. See, what the problem comes in is when somebody has a space and you're forcing them to fit in a space that they're not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
So when you when you're forcing squares in your circle, shit becomes out of shape.
Oh, bars.
Come on.
Damn. Run it back.
We love that.
What Hitman
We
House
love
say?
that. I need that on a shirt.
These niggas in bad shape. Too many squares in their circle. You know what I'm saying?
Let's loop that back.
So,
Right.
but when you get rid of the people and you allow the people who fit your current lifestyle, the ones who fit the things that you need from a human being on a human being level, hey, the ones that fit that you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, what's up? How you doing? And you care about how the day went. When you stay focused on those, then everything becomes easier, because the ones that you're trying to force to fit in that situation, the ones that should have fell off, that you've been dragging along, they're only going to pull you back or disrupt your peace. And the older you get, the more you understand your levels of peace, how important that shit is.
Priceless.
It's okay to sit in your house by yourself and not invite nobody over.
Exactly.
And you just enjoy your own space, including the people that's in your tight core group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you know for a fact, they know their place, you know your place, and then the people that was tight with you at 20, they know their place. It's either they gone or they right there by your hip, or they at arm's distance, where they should be. But you can't keep somebody who's supposed to be at arm's distance right up next to you. That's like putting the shirt on that don't fit. It just you know what I'm saying? It don't make sense.
Yeah.
So
I think my dad, he's a father of 6 kids, 4 biologically, 2 by marriage, step siblings, and he always, especially because the majority of us are girls, he always told us, after 18, after you step off of that stage, you not gonna know none of these niggas. Like, you rarely gonna be friends with the majority of your high school, middle school friends for the remainder of your life. So be okay with the fact that seasons change. Right. And I think the thing for men versus women is y'all bond over activities and time. We bond over emotional connection and time. So how that can be detrimental to me as a woman is I get locked into, you know, you my day one, you my day one. But if she's toxic, if she calling me gossiping all the time, she talking about how her baby daddy, this, that, and the third. If I see her cursing her kids out, like all of these things, these habits and these conversations, that locks women into these friendships, and they don't know how to get out of it. And I've had seasons where I've had to let people go because you no longer align with the woman that God is configuring me to be. Period. I have to place myself around women who are either on my level or that are in a position emotionally, mentally, physically, in a position that I aspire to be. And the fact that I can't hang out with some of the people that I went to ACT with or North Lindale, like I see them now and we are on 2 completely different. Yeah,
for sure.
You know, I come around, they may say I'm bougie now. Yeah, but look at where my life is and look at where yours is. So I'm comfortable with my choices.
I think when people say stuff like that, you bougie, that just shows that you outgrew them.
Yeah.
Because that means I'm on a frequency now that where we just ain't vibing the same. And that's no knock on them or the person who has elevated in their said level. Yeah. So I want to tap into this a little bit too, because while you was talking about how people don't fit, and you was talking about day ones, and I saw someone on the internet the other day was talking about those day twos. Meaning the people that you meet after you grew up with everybody else.
That's
your day twos.
Yeah.
The people that we really need to, that's gonna get us to that next step in life.
Yeah,
you got your sandbox group. You know what I'm saying? What we call our day ones, and some people are still locked in with their day ones, which is cool. Right. I mean, kids. Little homies I had growing up that was like my day one homies. Nah, I mean, we don't talk every day, you know. We don't see each other like that, you know. So now I'm in that stage, and that's why it resonated with me on those day twos. Those people in that network of friends and or associates and or business partners that's going to elevate you to that next level. And I think, especially for women protecting themselves, it's very important that the women that you accompany yourself with and choose to talk about these things with in your life are women who are going to hold you accountable. Yes. Because if all y'all goofy and delusional and you know being toxic, these are the friend groups who think they are pressure. It's like y'all the most depressurized bitches I ever seen in my life. Like what?
And the same thing with the niggas. Yeah. Who move like that.
Yeah. Like you can't possibly think that tearing other people down in a friend group is elevating you in your group.
And people don't want to take accountability and just take a step back and look at what are you making the choice to expose yourself to. And then trying to figure out why when you get off the phone with this person, you completely depleted all your energy. So it's like, because you just listen to her complain and moan for the last hour, and y'all could have been talking about a business deal. Y'all could have been praying together. Y'all could have been working out together. It could have been so many other things that you can choose to do, but for whatever reason, people feel like, it's quantity over quality when it's really quality over quantity.
Yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. Because if you can sit up and allow a person to absorb that type of energy from you, you continue to shrink as an individual.
I'm not doing that.
You don't grow. You don't grow at all. You know what I'm saying? I got a video. I'm going to try to find it. But it was just talking about protection as far as that when a man is looking to protect a woman, one of the key components of that is listening.
Yeah.
Like protecting, we talking about the physical aspect because we tapped into that earlier in the first segment, that it's important to listen as a woman.
Yeah.
Because like Wallace said, we can interject and jump in the situation. Now we create an enemy for ourselves, and then we circle a block and she back hugging this dude, but I just beat him up with a bat or a hammer this first time around. And I made a conscious effort, being a an older brother, that I wasn't going to get involved in females in my family's dating situations.
Yeah.
I just don't, because my thought is, you mad at him today, I come get into it with said person. This is just an example, and now I done created an enemy off of your emotions.
Right.
Because while you talked about emotional unintelligence, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a real thing, especially where we from. Yeah. That I'm finna go get my big brother.
Oh, facts.
I'm
calling my daddy.
Don't put big brother in a. And this is one of the key ways. This is one of the key ways to protect that a black woman protect her black family member or family protect the black man.
For sure.
Don't put me in a position where I have to kill somebody.
Right.
Don't put me in a position where I might die.
That part.
Don't put me in a position where I might go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, operate in a space where you feel like I'm never in positions where I have to call my brother that I put myself in. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of women that I've seen put themselves in these situations. They put themselves in a situation, call Big Brother. Then Big Brother now has a beef with this dude on the street because of a situation that they put themselves in or whatever the case may be. Don't put me in a position where I have to defend you, because I'm going to defend you.
Yeah.
But don't put me in because the thing is, where does it with us? It could never stop.
It's on site.
Straight from the you from the slums. Yeah. And because it comes to a game of survival once you get in so deep with certain shit. Like, yo, you got to do it with him. Yeah.
But it's like, they also don't over exaggerate. It's this I don't know if y'all know about the influencer. She has like a podcast too. I think her name is Don't Call Me White Girl. Yeah. And she has a clip saying like it's so many men who are dead for that very reason, because somebody called while they was angry, this, that, and the third, and you've over exaggerated what happened. So granted, you may have your traumatic experience. We not taking nothing away from that. Right. But to make it sound good so that you have a story. Yeah. To your point, you really aren't thinking it through that this is how men will operate. It's going to be on site every single time until there is a declared winner, and that means somebody going to be in a box.
And I got a perfect example for what y'all talking about.
The NFL player.
Yeah, I forget his name. You remember his name?
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I totally remember the situation. So what happened with this former football player? He was in a domestic situation with his girlfriend at the time. Said girlfriend called her brother. No, she texted her brothers and cousin, uncle, and said, "Come fuck this nigga up," or something in that magnitude, right? So they come to the football player's house where his mom is at, and I think his older brother is. They get into, I want to say, a physical altercation to some magnitude, as these four men who his girlfriend called over to his house to beat him up for whatever domestic situation. He fires X amount of gunshots, killing, I want to say, one of the four men.
Name is Travis Rudolph.
Yeah. So Travis Rudolph then goes on trial. He does, I think, 2 years in jail for the situation. He has now since been exonerated, and he's now been free because he was able to prove it was self-defense. Yeah. Right. But so we bring it up because we talking about protecting a black man. Yeah. So again, a domestic situation.
Stop calling your brothers and your cousins for every little argument, because you women sit on social media, you sit around, everybody killing everybody, but you never tell the truth that there's been 1,000 shootings and homicides trickle back down to you running your fucking mouth or you calling somebody and exaggerating because you feel disrespected. Stop calling people. You get in an argument with somebody on the block, that's it, leave it there. You call your brother, now these niggas going through it the whole summer, and then somebody's child die about it. That's your fault. That's your fault. You can't sit back and say it's not your fault because they went too far. You shouldn't have called them.
Situation, a man, Travis, the girlfriend calls her brothers and her brothers come, like Wallace said,
house. Where his mother is sleeping.
Not thinking, I gotta go protect my sister, my cousin, my auntie, my sister, you know what I'm saying? I gotta go protect her from her boyfriend because he didn't did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And now I didn't got there. We didn't got there. Now somebody that lost their life.
4 came and 3 left.
Exactly. Somebody lost their life for a situation
Just like
that.
what's the name from Moesha? Remember he got killed in the car?
Romeo.
Because she lied.
I don't know his real name.
She lied, said he either was sleeping with her before she was of age.
There you go, Santana. Yeah,
and whole time turns out she lied about her age.
Yep.
And he got killed
Sitting
for
in the
what?
car.
Literally sitting in the car for what?
Yeah. So there's a lot of situations,
Yeah.
and Nolita, you talked about the power of a woman's words, right? The power, and we have to understand that these situations that we talking to y'all about protecting black men and women, it's easy to me in a way. Right. You know what I'm saying? I think it's very easy. I hate to use that word in layman terms, but all right, y'all. So look, before we get out of here, I got one last thing I want to talk about. We already talked about men putting themselves in situations based off women that they care about, whether it's their sister, their auntie, their mom. But we've been talking about protecting women and protecting black men. But right now we're talking about the woman. So I got a video I want y'all to see about this woman's perspective as it relates to protection of black women. And y'all gonna see it, so don't.
Let me first state the obvious. No man should put his hands on a woman. We desire protection, but sometimes what we don't understand is that true protection comes with a level of control. Bodyguards are a good example. A bodyguard will make their client leave from a dangerous place. The bodyguard has to know all the details: who, what, when, where, why, and how. And the client has to listen to the bodyguard and follow the instruction that the bodyguard gives them. It's really an agreement between all parties involved. When the person who needs protecting does not follow the instruction and the direction of the protector, it puts the protector in a situation where they're more likely to lose their life. I have 4 brothers and a father, and I listen to their instruction even when they're not around. They have told me to stay away from certain places if I'm by myself or if it's late at night. They've also advised me not to be drunk or high in certain situations. Even though my brothers, my dad, and the men in my life protect me, I in turn protect them by listening to them and following their instruction. They don't have to come to my defense in some wild scenario, because if I listened to them, I wouldn't have been there in the first place.
All right. So this woman here spit some bars. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, what she's talking about is, well, we're gonna let Nolita chime right in on this one. So Nolita,
yes,
what's your take on that preventative protection? How she talked about women essentially need to listen.
At a very high level, completely agree with what she's saying.
Okay.
But is what she's saying applicable to the situation with the lady in the brick? No, because she wasn't with anyone who could have given her in real time instruction. So, but that also goes into what is her level of exposure of knowing what to not do and how to not interact to decrease the instance that could happen. So if she hasn't been raised or been around women who have shown an example of how to listen to a man, you can't prompt yourself to think that she just knows that. That comes through, that's nature versus nurture. Right. That comes through her nurturing process and what she's exposed to. So, I mean, I get what she's saying. Like, yeah, my daddy taught me the same thing. You know, keep your head on the swivel. Don't go places late. And if you outside late, keep that knife of that thing out. Right. That's just what I know. But I understand that everybody didn't have that as a reference or as a source to know how to govern themselves when they out in the streets. But no, I mean, I did what she's saying on a high level. On a high level.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with what she's saying on the high level.
Yeah, break down the high level.
Yeah. But no, I definitely agree with what she's saying. But one of the things that Nolita just pointed out was, who's to say that she had that kind of information? Yeah,
that was.
Who's to say that she had a man in her life to say, hey, you need to move like this. You shouldn't be doing this. Don't go over there. This, that, and the third. And also, who's to say that she had those things and didn't just say, whatever. I just do me because I'm grown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I completely agree. Hopefully, it's a situation where there is some type of learning. It's a learning situation for everything. Yeah. But this particular one, hopefully, she's in a space where she say, "Oh, well, you know what? Let me try to stay away from that area. Not go back over there. Try my best to not even be outside late with just me, where I'm in a position to get. You know, granted, if one of the homies was with her, she could have get hit with a brick too. But at least both of y'all got to whoop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But hopefully there is some type of learning from this. And granted, please remember, we are just taking her what she said for face value. We don't know what the details in it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of stuff still coming out, but
Lay
we're
just
basing it off her saying she got hit in the face with a brick, not none of her old videos, especially not the one with her slapping them off. Anyway, we ain't basing
that was a skit. You ain't hear that?
Nah. She came from London. Her story.
Damn.
You so silly.
But,
Big Ben.
But yeah. So we basing it off what we saw for face value at this particular moment. 2 weeks from now, that video might be.
We'll be talking about something else.
Because it's like maybe now she's learned that just a high level assessment is this place attracts men that are going to assume that they can interact with women like that.
It looked like the hood.
Thank you. So it's like when I first moved back to Chicago from Texas, I think I was maybe here for like 2 weeks or whatever. And you know, I'm just very, very comfortable being on the West Side because that's where I'm from. Mm-hmm. But I grew up on the West Side before I looked like a woman, right? So yes, my daddy told me to be very, mindful of where I go or whatever. But me walking on Central and Laramie is a different experience. Central and Madison, rather. I was going to take that West Side. You was like, what's happening? But it's like that cross. Because what was that? Uncle Remus that used to be right on that corner, or is it still there?
Central and Madison.
Yeah. So it's like going over there and parking. Thank you. But me coming back from Texas and where that happens in settings like where she was at in Texas. Clubs and stuff. But just to be on the street and have two boys walk past me and say, I'll nut all up in that ass.
Whoa.
And other men hear it. I had to quickly assess in that moment, do I react to feeling disrespected or do I keep walking? Right. But then I had to remember, my daddy told me, do you really want some chicken that bad?
Right.
Do you really want some chicken?
And I guess people want to know, did you get the chicken?
I did.
You got the chicken. Shout out to Uncle Remus.
But 2 months later, I was pescatarian, and it's been clear ever since.
You got that chicken.
You got that chicken. So
them niggas said, never mind. I ain't but she got that chicken. That's how good that Uncle Remus is.
Yeah, it's decent. I ain't crazy about it. It's all right.
Oh, you a hell star.
Not really. You know what? I'm kind of sick of with both.
I quit the pod.
Give me a card. Give me your card.
For real.
Give it up. And thank you. Westside, thank you. Put this in the shredder.
I mean, since we talking about chicken and Harold's and Uncle Remus, I mean, I had it a lot coming up, like especially Harold's, and then being from out west, Uncle Remus is like, bro, I'm over it, bro. Like, damn, I do that shit. It's like you outgrow it, man. My taste buds are on a higher level. You know what I'm saying? On the high end, I don't
know, like places like that, they're going to be in particular areas. So even just as men, y'all got to know that when y'all get out of a particular car in certain areas, dudes gonna be looking.
You just know.
Yeah. What are you willing to be bothered with?
Yeah, that's just survival instinct.
See, and just survival instincts. Yeah. Say, hey, wait. I'm gonna move around in my slum. My part of the slum. This is my gas station with 150 niggas standing in it, and I know those 150.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the gas station down the street where I only know 50 of the 100.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That'd be life or death.
What kind of car? What car am I in tonight? You know what I'm saying? Like everything has to be calculated when you in those situations. Yeah. So we have to calculate at a million miles a minute in those situations for us, for the family we got at home, and that applies to us protecting the women that we got at home. I have to calculate me going to that gas station at 1 o'clock in the morning. Do I really want a Reese cup that bad? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can I make it home on the eat? The light just came on.
Drink some water. Go to bed.
All right,
can
y'all.
I make it to Clark on Madison and
a couple more things I want to get to. Okay. And we're gonna wrap this up because we're gonna wrap this up. But we talked about a lot about physical protection, right? Man and woman. Huh?
No, never mind.
Never mind. Okay, bye.
Shout out to Trojan. Nah. So, but what does, and I'm going to ask the leaders to give the woman's perspective, not yours particularly, but a woman's perspective. What does protection look like emotionally for a woman? What does that protection look like?
A safe space for me to just communicate how I'm feeling, what my experience is. And while I understand that for a lot of men, it's the first reaction is to solve the problem.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes because I trust you and you are my safe space, I just need you to listen to me because I'm in so many spaces where men do not listen to me. Men talk over me. Men mansplain things to me. See what I'm saying? So it's like to know that somebody has that emotional investment and that they put that effort into quieting out the world and to focus on me when so many interactions where it's men scaling and they not listening because they don't think I have anything up here. But it's like I know that I have somebody I can speak to that does value my thoughts and my emotions. Like that means the world to most women.
Right.
It really does.
Yeah.
Really does.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's real.
So
how is it though when y'all have to be on that receiving end? Like, is it hard to just listen without wanting to solve the problem in real time?
No. Now for me, I'm a problem solver. I don't allow shit to linger.
Yeah.
I most of the time I solve the problem before you say it's a problem.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the tire, when you come home in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, the tire gonna be fixed. Like that's just me. I'm just a problem solver like that. But I'm also a listener. So you actually, because I communicated for a living for a long time. So my communication is like this. It's active. I'm always listening. I can respond. You know, I try not to respond before the full thought is out of their mouth, even though I might feel like I know what you're about to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's easy for me also to sit there and allow somebody, because I know when people need to vent. I know when you just need to get something out your chest. Because sometimes a woman might come to you and sit down and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. This bitch Joanne at work. She keep eating my motherfucking food in the refrigerator. My boss did this. My sister did that.
Yeah.
My brother did that. But I'm not woke because I'm actively listening. Because the thing is, there is plenty of times in my mind I say, well, I need to respond or say something. But clearly, at this particular point, it's a data dump happening right now. Okay. I need to allow this to happen.
It's a good analogy.
And then from there, I can assess whether I want to. Because the thing is, she might start with a conversation or with a issue that she already has a solution for, but she still wants to get this issue off of. Look, this is what I had to deal with today. Blah 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 at work and yada yada yada. And then 20 minutes into the conversation, I fixed that shit that happened at 8 o'clock this morning. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, she wasn't sitting. She's not pulling up the chair or leaning on my chest or my shoulder or calling me on the phone and say, "Hey, I need you to fix this." She's calling me to say, "I need an ear real quick."
I need you to
She's
listen.
talking about what, but not how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all just learned me something. I guess my response for something like that I'm like that too. I was like, I'm hearing it. I'm immediately assessing how I can fix it.
Yeah.
How I can solve it. And I guess maybe that's just a man thing or
That's
a person
thing.
like you
that's
just
a real man thing.
Yeah, I often say that you just care enough. It's like, okay, my woman, my lady, she's venting to me in this way, whatever sad situation is, because if that bitch at work getting on your nerve, I'll slash the tires for you. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, how can I help?
He is not out here slashing tires, guys.
Shit, fuck what you want to. But
no face, no case. No face, no case.
But in all seriousness, though, it's just like, and you want to solve it, you know. And while you learn me something, that sometimes women just want to data dump. They just want to get it off their chest, and or they have already solved it, and they still want to express themselves. And our job is to protect and listen to their emotions in that way, and not be judgmental or not be making about ourselves and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
And the other thing too is, maybe tomorrow you would say, hey, about that other part of that conversation that you were telling me about, is what's going on with that? Is it fixed, or did you want me to do this? You said that your transmission feel like it was jumping. What was that about? Is it still doing that?
Right.
That's when you address that. You don't necessarily have to. You don't necessarily have to address that in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Everything don't have to be addressed in the moment. Some things can be, but you don't have to let them know, hey, this. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna fix it. You know what I'm saying? Say it in your mind. Don't worry. Oh, the radio, your car radio doing what? Don't you even gotta. Hey, I'm finna go.
Your CD player don't work?
I'm finna run to the gas station and real quick.
And sometimes when we share things like with men, it's also can be a sign that in her friend circle, she doesn't have people that are going to help her arrive at a positive space in that conversation. So if you know your homegirl is really just about to pour gasoline on this fire, you are not about to call her because you for sure ain't finna feel better after you talk to her.
Exactly.
But somebody I know that because y'all have like a 20,000 word count for a day, like that's typically y'all max. We know that y'all are literally going.
Wait, what?
No, I've heard that before.
Max is like a million.
As much as we can retain, or
like
what?
Just how much you communicate.
Oh.
So it's like innately you're going to can be a space for you to listen more than you would if I was talking to another woman who was just gonna kind of get in the conversation and add on to it and kind of hype it up. Y'all are, because you are solution driven.
Yeah.
You're not about squandering time about, okay, well, girl, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
skip that part. How can we go kick this bitch ass? No, I'm just saying, but like, how can we get the best result from said situation?
Yeah.
Right. I was just saying layman term in situations like that. Like, I get what you're saying. It's the rudimentary part in between. You know, we just kind of like, okay, we hear the problem, and once I hear it, I'm already trying to figure that shit out, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that's super important. We're gonna wrap this thing up, but I definitely want to reiterate that it's never okay to hit a woman.
Absolutely not.
Fellas, men, fake ass men, like whatever you consider yourself, if you are of the male delegation, we're not saying don't protect yourself. I'm not saying just sit there and let a woman beat on you, because that's going to be an episode for another day.
If you identify as male.
Yeah, if you identify as male, it's important that you do everything.
If you identify as a man.
There you go. If you identify as a man, keep your hands to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, put them bricks down.
And as a woman, keep your motherfucking hands to yourself.
Yes.
And because it works twofold. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all, man. This was dope. You know what I'm saying? We got no leader back on the pod. Your favorite neighborhood, Rich Auntie. Big Bro Wallow in the building, man. This has been another episode of the Humble Pie Podcast.
You know what it is.
We out.
Bye.
Put them bricks down.